Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the MANEATER podcast. I am so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for the warm reception to my last episode. As I told you guys last time, I was so nervous to film that episode. And now looking back on it, it was like I was nervous for no reason. But I really appreciate you guys and your kind words and your words of encouragement. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about failure. Again, we're going to be talking about this because it was so heavy on my heart and on my mind that I needed to talk about failure because it's something that I know a lot about. I have failed at so many things in life, so many things. It's hard to keep track of how many things I've failed at. I have bounced from failure to failure. I have tried so many things and failed. I've been successful at some things, so I don't want to sound like a complete failure. I dropped out of college twice. I had to move back home after living in LA for 2 years and then had to move back out to LA. I've tried and failed to get sober so many different times, and finally it's stuck, and I've been sober for 3 years. I've wrecked and totaled cars. I've rear-ended people. I've gotten tickets. I've had many failed relationships. My boyfriend, when I was in my early 20s, signed me up for bartending school, and I failed that. When I was a waitress, I failed my exam, and for some reason they didn't fire me, and I continue to push so many people's corks into their wine bottles and ruin so many bottles of wine. And they should have fired me. I don't know why they didn't fire me. I failed at learning how to open a wine bottle correctly. So many things, too many things to count. So what is failure? Failure isn't a setback, it's feedback. Failure teaches you things if you are willing to learn from it. But if you get discouraged by failure, then it's not going to teach you shit. If you decide that failure, instead of being a stepping stone to success, is a encumbrance to success, then you're not going to see it as feedback. You're going to see it as a setback. And it's not that. It teaches you something about where you're going and where you should go and where you shouldn't go. As long as you learn something, it wasn't a failure. And you're going to fail. You're going to fail. It's just going to happen. If you are living your life and you're trying things, you're going to fail. It's an inevitability of life. And the gag is, what they won't tell you is the more that you're failing, the more that you're living. Life is just one big failure. And I know that sounds really negative, but when you look at it, are any of us winning in life? Are any of us making it out of this alive? No. We all end up with the same exact fate. So life is a series of trying things, picking things up, putting them down, experiencing things. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is set in stone. You're just trying things out. And sometimes things are going to work and sometimes they're not going to work. But accepting that you're going to fail is the best thing that you can do for yourself. That is going to propel you into success faster than anything else can. And it's so counterintuitive to what we are taught. We're taught that too many failures means that we're not enough or we're not good at something. And I think we see a lot of people who are successful in their field, successful in their craft, and we assume that they are just innately good at it, or failure is something that they didn't experience. But 9 times out of 10, there are people who are just innately good at things. 9 times out of 10, someone who's really good at something is someone who failed a lot and someone who didn't develop the skill that is their craft. But more than that, they develop the skill of failing. They develop the skill of falling on their face and getting up. And that is a skill. And if you have that skill, you can get good at basically anything you want to get good at. What is success? Going from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. I made that up. Just kidding. Churchill. Churchill made that up, not me. But that's what success is. It is a series of failures until something sticks, until something works. There's no situation where success exists in a vacuum, where there was no failure encountered. That doesn't exist. And you might think that's the way that it works based on the highlight reel world that we live in with like Instagram or the way that like media is curated. The most monumental failures that people have very rarely see the light of day. Some of them do. Some of them are public and some of them are out in the open, but it's really the success that people experience. That's what we see. in isolation. But I guarantee you that success was only able to be realized because someone was able to fail over and over and over again. You should make failure your kink. Failure should be something that turns you on and that you want to do all the time if you want to be successful in things. And I know that sounds like counterintuitive and like a little on its head, but if you focus more on the journey and less on the destination, not only will nothing be in vain, but one day you're going to wake up at the destination and be like, how the fuck did I get here? The time is going to go by regardless. And if you focus more on the journey, the time is going to go by quickly. And you're going to be able to look back on your life and see all of it as something beautiful and something worthwhile, and not just what you were trying to achieve. And that's how you want to look back on your life, because all of this matters. All of this is going to create like the mosaic that is your life that you're going to look back on when you're 80, 85, 90 years old. You want to not spare anything. Nothing is just mundane, everyday stuff. Everything is a stepping stone. Everything is a brick. And when you enjoy pushing the boulder up the hill, it makes the whole experience of life that much more enriching. And you want all of it to be enriching. Like life is literally a miracle. So you need to wake up every day thinking, what can I fail at? How can I fall on my face today? For me, that was that solo podcast. I was so scared to do that. But when I reframed it in my mind and I was like, okay, this is something I've never done. I might fail at this. Let's just say I will fail at this. That's okay. I'm super excited to fail at this thing because if I fail at it once, twice, 10 times, 20 times, I'm going to get good at it. That's just the way it works. If I'm doing it all the time, I'm going to get good at it. And what happens if I fail at it? Literally nothing. No one's going to remember because no one remembers people's failures. If you think of anyone that you think is incredible, try to remember a moment that they failed. They exist and most of them are well documented, but odds are you can't name them off the top of your head. And there's a reason for that. We place too much emphasis and importance on our personal failures when you really look at it objectively, no one gives a shit. No one cares. And in most things in life, you can try again and again and again, and no one's going to give a shit. Especially if you find success. But you'll never find success if you can't get over yourself and get over the fact that you're going to fail. Failure is the story. That is the meat on the bones. That is the whole story. Think of a movie of someone succeeding, or any movie at all. They're usually an instrumental part of that plot is struggle, is someone failing, is someone wanting something that they don't get. That is like the entirety of the stories that we enjoy, the stories that we relate to. That is the story. So when you reframe it in your mind in that way, you're living out the story. And the more epic the failures, the more epic the story, especially if you overcome them. There were times in my life, like the lowest of the lows, like so low, I was in hell. It couldn't have gotten lower. It was comical how low it was. I couldn't help but to laugh. I was like, this is kind of funny because this could not get worse. It's comically bad. It was at those times that I was like, this is going to be such a good part of my memoir, my documentary, my life story. You know, this is going to be such an amazing part. This is going to be the part that people are inspired by, that, you know, is going to drive the story. No one cares if you set out to do something and you hit a home run. No one, like, I mean, I guess it's great for you, but honestly, you don't even care if you do that. If you did that, if you just waltzed through law school and passed the bar and you were like, I don't know, it's so hard. There's nothing, like, you would not value that achievement, and no one else would value that achievement. That's why everyone hates Nepo babies, because they didn't have to struggle. They didn't have to go through all of those failures, all those auditions. They just waltzed in and took the job. People don't admire them for being able to do that. They kind of hate them. That's a whole nother story. But the more struggle you encounter, the more you fail, the more your story is going to be compelling. And what is living life if not telling a story? Developing a story for yourself, developing a story for your grandchildren one day, if you're into that kind of thing. That's what this is all about. And if you're young, you need to fail like it's your job. Like, I'm not kidding. I know your parents are going to tell you something different and your teachers are going to tell you something different. Don't listen to them. You need to fail like you make money every time you fail, because that is the way it's going to translate. If you don't know what you want to do with your life, which is where I was at when I was in my 20s, like no idea what I wanted to do with my life, you need to try everything. You need to throw yourself on the ground and bounce up like a rubber ball, because that's what you are because you're young. You need to fail at everything. That doesn't mean don't take things seriously. That doesn't mean don't apply yourself to things. It just means if you succeed at doing something and you're 23, okay, now you have like 60 years left of doing that thing, I guess. You know what I mean? Like I said, failure is part of the story and it's part of the journey. You don't want to skip to the end immediately. So yes, you should apply yourself. You should take life seriously to some degree. But especially if you don't know what you want to do with your life, please don't be like me and turn 23 and turn 25 and turn 27 and be like, I'm a failure because I don't have all these things that society told me that I should have by this age. I don't think that's realistic. And you have a lot of life to live. And this is the one time in your life. I mean, you can fail at any age and get back up again. But especially when you're young, that is the time to be delusional and to push the boundaries and to see what you can get away with and to shoot for the stars, because you have so much time. You have very little responsibility and you have so much time to totally scrap it, to clear the board, to start off with something totally new. You have so much time to do that. And you need to take advantage of that, because that's one of the huge benefits of youth. The only harm is not doing and not trying. Not trying is loser. Failing is what winners do. It's what people do who are actually alive. Perfectionism is self-sabotage with a pretty bow on. You're never going to be perfect. I think it was Salvador Dali. He said, do not fear perfection because you'll never reach it. It's not going to happen. So quit trying to make things perfect before you attempt them. That is your way of self-sabotaging and feeling good about yourself about it. And that's like even worse than just self-sabotaging. I'd rather you self-sabotage by staying up till 3 a.m. and having a good night than trying to make something perfect and it never being perfect, because nothing's perfect. And I think when you reframe it in that way and you start to see it that way, that self-sabotage or perfectionism is self-sabotage, you'll see perfectionism very differently. Because perfectionism is like always kind of it's seen as a negative, but it's put into like this gilded frame. Perfectionists get less done. Less things happen. It's better for something to be done than not be done. It's better for you to put yourself out there than not put yourself out there. It's better for you to try than not try. And back to what I was saying earlier about failure being feedback. As long as you learn something, there's no reason to feel bad and there's no reason to feel guilty. Whenever I feel guilty about something, like I just moved out of my apartment that I lived in for 4 years. And when I was moving out of my apartment, I kind of realized that I was like a massive hoarder. And I had all of this shit. Like I had all these projects that I was going to start and didn't start. I had all of this, like these past lives. And then I had like kind of like a shopping problem because I got sober. And I think I kind of like started to self-medicate through shopping. And it was such a mess. I didn't realize how much of a mess it was until I moved out. And I felt so much guilt about it. And I felt like I failed at having this apartment because it was such a beautiful apartment. I feel like it never got to like see its glory because I was just like I was going through a lot of turmoil there during periods of it. And what I told myself when I was having all this guilt is I need to write down 5 things that I learned from this experience. And as long as I learned something from this experience, then it wasn't a complete waste. As long as you learn something from the things, from your perceived failures, it's not a waste, it's feedback. It's giving you more information and ways to apply it to things that happen in the future. And I could have looked at that situation and been like, oh my God, I wasn't perfect and everyone else is perfect. And I'm seeing everyone else's highlight reels and everyone's apartment looks so cute and no one else is a hoarder and I'm the only one. And I have, I could have gone down that route. But instead, I reminded myself that a lot of people deal with this. I even made a video and I was like, guys, am I the only one? And people are like, no, you're not the only one. A lot of people deal with this. And this is information, valuable information for me to develop takeaways, to learn something from this and apply it to things in the future and to show myself grace, because that was my first big girl apartment and I did a lot of things right, but there were some things that were wrong, and that is just life. You have to reframe it. Everything is about perspective. And this is something that my sister would tell me all the time. You have to reframe the way that you see things. You have to change your perspective. In every situation, if you change your perspective on it, there is good to be found in every single situation. I know that's applied to my life. Failure is a part of the process. It is how you get good at things. It is how you move forward through life. There's no way to avoid it. And people, if you're really trying to achieve amazing things in life, people are going to think that you're insane. They just will. You have to ignore them. You have to take on these failures and keep moving with no loss of enthusiasm. And people are going to look at you and be like, bro, maybe this isn't for you. Like, maybe it's time to give up. Maybe, they see you down to your last dollar sleeping in your car and you're like an entrepreneur and you have this brilliant idea. People who play it safe in life, people who do not try, are always going to be present. They're always going to be around you. And they will make you aware that they think that you're insane, that they think that you're crazy, and they will tell you to quit. And these people are the ones that are delusional. You can't do that. You cannot go down the road that is paved if you expect extraordinary results from life. The price that you pay for that is so high and so extreme. And these are going to be the same people who are going to look at people who make it and people who are successful and say that they got lucky or that they had some kind of unfair advantage, or they're going to pick it apart. You have to ignore these people. The people who tell you to be realistic, the people who tell you that after a certain amount of failures, it's time to quit, you have to ignore them. And that's probably going to be one of the hardest things you're going to do. That's going to force you to have confidence in yourself. It's going to force you to believe in your own vision. It's going to force you to not only have to endure these failures that you're encountering, but also block out voices of reason, or what most people would deem to be a voice of reason. You have to block these people out if you want something extraordinary from life. And I think if you are alive, you should want something extraordinary from life. You have to unlearn shame, unlearn embarrassment, all of these things that the aforementioned people are going to try to instill in you. These are things that you cannot hold any space for, because when you are going the road less paved, you're going to do things that are embarrassing. If you are trying things, actually trying, okay, which most people are not going to do. If you are actually trying things, you are going to embarrass yourself. You're going to fail, and you're going to feel the urge to feel shame for not succeeding. You have to dispel that from your body. You have to gaslight yourself out of feeling those things. You got to get in your mind, dude, because these things are so easy to fall into. And when I first started making TikToks, that's I don't want to say it's embarrassing because it's what I do for a living now, but when you're posting videos and you're talking like people care and nobody cares, one could say that's embarrassing. But I didn't feel any shame about it. Not having that shame has helped me do so many things in life. And it makes these kind of these career fields, these circles, there's not a lot of competition. Because a lot of people can't get past that feeling of embarrassment and shame. It's not because they're not talented. It's not because they don't have the resources. It's not because they're not attractive. It's because they can't get over themselves. And that's a huge advantage if you can get over yourself and you cannot be embarrassed and you cannot be ashamed of whatever you're doing. Because when you really understand that the only sin is not trying, then no one can really make you feel bad about trying. And if you're trying something, if you're trying something new, if you're trying something you're not good at, if you're trying something that no one else is trying yet, you're probably going to embarrass yourself. And you have to just let that fall off of you like water off a duck's back. You can't even feel that feeling because it's going to impede upon your work. It's going to impede upon your expression and upon what you're trying to do, what you're trying to convey. You just can't even feel it. And the only good things that have come out of life are things that are cringe. If you look at any major artist, they're all cringe. It's so cringe. If you take it out of the lens of their success, they're very, very cringe. But when you put it into the frame of their success, it's cool. And it's life-changing, and it's helping people. And it's, people are literally pining and screaming to get closer to this person. But if you take Timothée Chalamet and put him in a Willy Wonka costume outside of that context, it's cringe. And that's okay. All of this is cringe. So if you're trying to avoid being cringe, then you will never try anything. Because being a human being is embarrassing. All of this is embarrassing. The only thing that could be quote unquote not embarrassing is walking the same uniform path that everyone else does, because you have the comfort and the safety of conformity. Like, it can't be that embarrassing. He's doing it, she's doing it, he's doing it. And if that's the way that you see the world, you're going to get the results that everyone else is getting. And 95% of people are underwhelmed with the results they're getting out of life. That's just the way it is. So you have to do things that no one else is doing. And you have to embrace emotions that other people are afraid to embrace. And two of the strongest ones being embarrassment, shame, and the fear of being disliked or misunderstood. Like, that is very, very deeply ingrained into us as human beings. It's like not wanting to be disliked, left out of the pack, and then not wanting to be misunderstood. There's a great sense of unsafety in those emotions. It threatens our sense of survival. That's an antiquated instinct. We've outgrown that. The implications of those things being threatened are not as serious as they once were. So even though you're going to feel those emotions and it's going to feel like it's threatening your survival, it's not at all. You're going to be fine. Some people are going to dislike you. Some people are going to think you're cringe. Some people are going to think you're embarrassing. Those aren't your people. And that leads to another point. Be polarizing and be authentic. The more polarizing you are and the more authentic you are, the more you're going to weed out the people who are not meant for you. And the more that you're going to attract the people who are meant for you. And why the would you want to waste your finite life on this beautiful earth attracting people who you don't even like and not wanting to skip the line and find the people who you actually with? Doesn't that make sense? You know what I mean? If you're really showing up and you're living authentically, there are going to be a lot of people who do not like you. There are a lot of people who don't like me, and they let it be known, and they tell me, and they comment it, and they make videos. That is the price that I pay and that I've paid, and that's what I signed up for by living an authentic life and by trying and failing. But conversely, what I've gotten out of that is people who see me living authentically and being polarizing, because as human beings, you're naturally polarizing. We fight that, but that is the way it is. And they say, everything, yes. I agree with everything this girl says. And those are my friends now. Those are the people who I surround myself with. And it's a much better experience. Even though me making videos in the beginning may have been embarrassing or cringe to some, the dividends that it's paid is life-changing dividends. And that's all because I decided that I didn't care and that I was going to fail. And I was going to post these videos that got 3 likes for months and months and months. And I didn't give a because I wanted to express myself and I didn't care if I failed at it. The objective was to express myself, and I achieved that objective. And then success came. And then the people who thought it was embarrassing or cringe, think it's cool now. Same with Timothy Chalamet and the Willy Wonka suit, okay? People will come around, and success is inevitable. If you show up every day and you lay down that boring brick, success is inevitable. I can't tell you if it's going to happen in 3 days, 3 months, 3 years. It's going to happen. You're showing up every day. If you show up to a barbershop every day, you're going to get a haircut eventually. That's just the way it works. Even if people are saying things now, I promise you, the minute that you're successful in doing what you're doing, everyone's tune changes, girl. Everyone changes up on you. Ask anybody who's ever been successful. And you need to balance humility with delusion. Because we've talked a lot about believing in yourself, being delusional, taking no prisoners. Yes to all of that. When you're in the beginning phases of everything, you got to be delusional. Like you really have to be totally delusional. But then when you start getting success, then you got to be humble a little bit. You still have to be delusional, but you have to mix in a little bit of humility in there too, because you're going to feel the temptation when you get success of like, I cannot fail. It totally warps us. You know, you finally taste the sweet, sweet taste of success, and you forget the bitter pills of failure, and you're like, great, I'm here. I'm in the promised land, milk and honey. Nothing could be bad. Don't go into that too much, okay? Success, like failure, like happiness, like sadness, is fleeting. You can't build a house there. You got to just build the house, and all the bricks are going to be of all these different things of failure here, happiness there, sadness there, success there. But success is never going to be the house, okay? There are always going to be ups and downs in life. So when you get success, you got to recognize that and then adopt a little bit of that humility. And this is something that especially applies to me because I struggle with this. And my mother told me that growing up. She's like, that's going to bite you in the ass. You need to be more humble. And I was like, Nina, no. I don't see the practical application of humility. Now that I'm older, I do. And humility is going to keep you from burning your own house down. Humility is going to keep you from stepping in unnecessary shit. It's going to keep you from destroying what you've built. You are always learning. You're always a student. You never know more than everyone else does. You always, especially when you get success. Honestly, the humble shit, like, don't even do that when you're like failure to failure. Like, just don't. Like, you got to think you're the shit and you cannot fail while you're failing. It's like you have to do these mind games with yourself. Like, as you're failing, you got to be like, I'm invincible. That's the only way to do it. But then when you get success, that's when you kind of got to like come down to earth a little bit. Be like, okay, great. Let's really forge a path with humility and grace into more good things and not step in on the way there. Does that make sense? I hope it does. You got to find the yin and the yang down the road a little bit. And you got to mix both of them. But while you're going from failure to failure, be delusional, the humility shit. Okay? Like, in the trash. When I'm making TikToks and I'm getting 3 likes a TikTok, I'm famous. I'm the shit. I literally had all of my, should I even say this? I'm going to say it. All of my passwords when I started TikTok was I am famous. That's how, like, I wanted it to be that ingrained in my head. So while I was doing these things, like, I was constantly gaslighting myself and like programming my brain into believing that I already had the desired outcome that I wanted. And now my passwords are things I'm not going to tell you they're my passwords, but I wanted it to seep so deeply into my subconscious mind that it manifesting in my reality was inevitable. And I mean, I'm not famous, but I am a niche micro internet celebrity now. It's I don't get 3 likes a video anymore most of the time. So something happened along the way. That delusion led me somewhere to a place that I'm pretty happy with right now. But now I'm at a place where I'm like, okay, I got to be grateful for what I have because it's insane. Like I can't even tell you how grateful I am for what I have. It's too much for me to even put in words. And I know when people say stuff like this, it's kind of like corny. It's like, oh my God, because I am, I'm a TikToker. It's not like I'm like, not winning an Oscar or anything, but I cannot believe that I am so fortunate to have an audience of women who give a about anything that I say at all. If you're watching this video right now, you watching this far into the video is crazy to me. Not because I don't feel like there's a lot of positive things that you can take from this. Not because I feel like it's not worth your time, but your time is extremely valuable and you've decided to give it to me for this period of time. I'll never get over that. And I think it's important for me to remember that and not feel like I'm owed that and not feel like you're obligated to do anything for me, because you're not. My job is to earn all the attention that you give me and to treat the attention that you give me with integrity and with care. And I think that that's where the humility comes in. Because if I was going bulldozer mode right now, that wouldn't be productive and that wouldn't be fair. And I think that would be a disservice to you and to me and to everything I've built with my bricks of delusion. I hope that makes sense. But the key thing here, the thing that I really, really need you to know, don't quit. Don't quit. Especially if you feel love for something, if you feel called to something, if something sparked that life force in you since you were like a little kid, if you do something and it makes time just fly by and you feel alive when you're doing it and you think about it when you're showering, when you're going to bed at night, you can't quit that. You just can't. Like, I don't care how long it takes you. You have to keep doing that. That is what life is. And you can't trade that for security. I feel really strongly about this. Like when it comes to the whole like, oh my gosh, follow your dream, girl, those Oscar speeches, I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry during them because you can't quit. Like if you have a dream, if you have something that calls to you in that profound of a way, that's worthy of your every bit of time and energy that you put towards it. That's what life is. So you might be on that journey and you might be failing and failing and failing. And those failures may have you thinking, maybe I'm just not good at this. Maybe this is something that maybe I should quit music and go back to school. Maybe I should take this safer option. Maybe I should listen to my parents. I really feel very strongly, very deeply in my heart, you can't do that. You just can't. Like you cannot do that. Those are usually the moments before the big break happens. Those are the moments called the dip. Those dips are what happen. And I think it's from the universe. I think it's the universe being like, do you really want this? Because even when you do realize your dreams, your dreams are not waking up in a feather bed and you don't feel pain anymore and you don't feel suffering and you don't have struggles anymore. You don't feel sadness. You'll always have that. But your dreams, when you're really living your dreams, all of those things are worth it and they're put into a totally different context. So it's always going to require effort. You have to choose your struggle. You're never going to negate struggle. The universe is going to test you to ensure that this is really what you want, because it's going to require a lot from you, whatever path it is you're pursuing. The universe is going to offer you consolation prizes to see if this is really what you want. And that is called the dip. That's, I call that the universe offering you consolation prizes. You have to be able to recognize that for what it is. And if you can leverage those situations into a stepping stone to get to where you want to go, that's one thing, but you cannot accept the consolation prizes. You cannot, because they are going to present themselves and they are a test to see how badly you want this path, how badly you want this dream. And you have to want it. You really, really have to want it because it is a journey and you have to love the journey. I think of that one guy's Oscar speech, and I'm not remembering his name, unfortunately, but he was in Everything Everywhere All at Once. And he acted for such a long time. And it took him his biggest dream was to win the Oscar. And I don't remember how old he was I think he was probably in his 50s, but he won the Oscar. He never gave up on that dream. And he got that moment. You don't know when it's going to happen, but it's not going to happen if you quit. It's never going to happen. And to me, that's too terrifying. Looking back on my life and knowing I had the potential I had and knowing that I had the dream that I had and not exhausting every resource available to me to realize it until I died, I can't go for that. I can't live like that. Failure is what life is. There's no way to get through life. Life is one big failure. And none of us make it out alive. You're not going to win this game. You're not going to win the game of life. All you can do is push it to the limit every single day. And I think the best way to do that is to wake up every day and ask yourself, what can I fail at today? What can I do that scares me today? What can I do that's going to move me closer to my goal? What are the ways in which I'm self-sabotaging by being a perfectionist? And how can I eliminate that? What do I have available to me today? What resources do I have to work my way closer to my objective? And I promise you, for each and every person, there's an answer to that. And you have more resources now than any human ever has to move closer to where you want to go every single day. So eat failure for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Make failure your fucking kink. Okay? Love it, live it, don't fear it. It is the only way to go through life. And I think that's good, guys. It is so, no offense, but it's very hot in this studio. And I decided to wear an ugly Christmas sweater. And I'm sweating and I'm dying. But you know what? We're here and we did it. And I feel like that was a really good message. And it's very important to me. I love this topic because I fucking love to fail. I've like gaslit myself into being like, fuck yeah, let's fail at everything. I love sucking at things. And I think it's taken me far in life. So I hope you've gotten something from that. And thank you so much to everyone who watched the last episode I had on solitude and the power of being alone. And thank you all for your feedback. Thank you for your positive feedback. Thank you for your words of encouragement because I need them. They mean a lot to me. I'm a words of affirmation girly. So I really, really appreciate that. And I will see you guys for the next episode.